Hey everyone, Mr. here. This is a guide for round 2 of the Toyota Cup 2022 series taking place at Suzuka Circuit with the Toyota GT500. So let's take a quick look at the race details. So this is a 14 lap race. Fuel is a ×1, tire wear is a ×5, and we're only using the racing medium tires. Even though this is a one-make race, BOP is on and tuning is forbidden. And there are no tire requirements, there are no mandatory pit stops. Now this race is a little interesting because of the strategies that are on offer for this race, so I'm actually going to talk about those first. First of all, this is a grid start, so make sure you have traction control at 1 for the start of the race, and shortly after the race starts, you can then move the traction control back down to 0 or whatever value you normally have it set to. And be aware that at the start of the race, your tires are going to be cold, so you want to carefully navigate your way through the first lap as your tires start to warm up. This race is going to come down to a 1 stop or, believe it or not, a 0 stop. Even though the 0 stop is slightly faster than the 1 stop, there are huge ups and downs for both strategies, which is something that you want to consider before you start your race. And we'll actually talk about the 1 stop first, which is the clips that you're seeing right now. So with the 1 stop, this one is pretty straightforward. You pit at the end of lap 7, so halfway into the race, get a new set of racing medium tires, and then complete the second half of the race. Fuel is not an issue, so you don't need to refuel. And to quickly show how bad the tire issue is, I'm skipping towards the end of lap 6, and you can actually already see on the lap times on the right side of the screen or the video that the lap times are dropping off pretty quickly. And with this lap, end of lap 6, I'm already 1.5 seconds or nearly 1.5 seconds down. So the effects of tire wear start to show up as early as lap 4, and it starts to go downhill pretty quickly from there. So you'll already be about a second down per lap as early as lap 5 or as late as lap 6. And be aware that when you're entering the pit stop, make sure you don't cross the white line, otherwise you'll pick up a 3-second penalty, because that's exactly what happened right here. I went in a little too fast, barely went over the white line, and I'm going to pick up a 3-second penalty, which you'll see at the end of the pit stop. So you don't see it right now, but you'll eventually see it pop up. But anyways, we're going in for a tire change only, no need to refuel. And it's going to take about a zillion years for my car to show up and get the tires changed. Anyways, pit loss for this race is around 20 seconds. So it is a bit of a long pit stop. So if you're thinking about 2-stopping this race, please don't. You're only going to be wasting your own time that way. And there we go, 3-second penalty because I crossed the pit line when I was entering the pit stop. So if you're definitely thinking about getting a tire change, just go for the 1 stop, pit halfway into the race, which is at the end of lap 7. But anyways, the pros of this strategy. 1, it's pretty straightforward. You split your race into 2 7-lap stints, you pit at the end of lap 7 and get the tire change done, and that's it. The other thing is that it's a safe strategy because tire wear is pretty harsh in this race, so by getting a new set of racing medium tires, you don't have to worry too much about the worn tires until the end of each stint. However, there are a couple of downsides to the 1-stop strategy. The first one, you're losing 20 seconds because you're getting your tires changed. The other thing is that, at least in a controlled environment, the 1-stop is actually slower than the 0-stop, but not by much. It's around 2 to 4 seconds slower, but the thing is that this is a safer strategy, and the people that are doing the 0-stop, they're going to have to deal with extremely worn tires, and that strategy is much harder to do than the 1-stop. So if you are doing a 1-stop and you come across any 0-stoppers after you've already done your pit stop, then you'll have a higher chance of taking advantage of them because it's going to be much harder for them to defend their spot. However, the last thing is that Suzuka is actually not an easy track to get passes done at. And especially if you come across them in the first half of the lap, so from the start finish line towards, let's say, the hairpin, good luck trying to get past him, because with so many turns coming in one after another, there isn't much time to try to get the pass done unless if you get really aggressive. And the longer you get held up by these cars, then that means you're going to be losing even more time. But anyways, at the end of this race, the one stop, I'm going to end up getting an estimated time of 28 minutes and 24 seconds. I say estimated because the 3-second penalty from the pit lines gets added onto the time. So even though it says 28:27 at the race results screen, without that, it's a 28 minutes and 24 second run. Now let's take a look at the zero stop. With the zero stop race, or the zero stop strategy, well, you're not stopping. So you're going to go about the race a bit similar to how you went with the one stop, except for the entire race, you better take good care of your tires, because once tire wear starts to kick in, it's going to be a slow downhill from there. And after lap 7, that's where things just go downhill even faster. And this is where you need to be ultra careful. You need to be really good at tire management to be able to pull this off. And at the end of lap 8, I'm already 2 seconds per lap down. Now the main benefit of the zero stop is, well, you avoid going to the pit stop, because whenever you have to go to the pit stop, you lose a load of time refueling. Well, in this case, you're not refueling, you're just getting your tires changed. But either way, 20-second pit loss is a huge deal. And in the one stop, you have to claw your way back and deal with traffic as you're trying to get back to where you were before you pitted. In the zero stop, you don't have to do that. You're basically just trying to make your way up from wherever you started, or trying to keep first place if you started in pole position. And the zero stop is actually a little bit faster than the one stop. And if you don't account for the mistake I made at the end of lap 12, the time I would have gotten was around a 28 minutes and 20 seconds, so around 4 seconds faster than the one stop. However, there are, well, some very obvious downsides to the zero stop. The first one, if you haven't noticed, is that tire wear is miserable after 8 laps and on. You have to be really careful with your tires, or with how you're driving the car. You have to be really good with tire management, because if you're driving way too hard, then the tire wear is going to bite back at you as the race goes on. And the car gets pretty sketchy in the last couple of laps. So around the last 4 laps, that's where you need to be really careful with how you're driving your car, because even just a tiny little mistake, just applying just a tiny bit too much throttle, you'll start to get a lot of wheel spin, because you basically have zero grip under rear tires and you're going to spin out. And don't ask me how I know about this, because this definitely did not happen to me. Never mind, it sadly happened to me. So yeah, so that's the thing with the zero stop. You have to be really careful with how you're driving your car, take really good care of those tires, and on the last lap, so you have to be even more careful about how you're driving the car, because at that point, even just a little mistake can ruin your race. And that little mistake right there cost me 15 seconds. So you can bet that if there were any one-stoppers catching up to me, they would have caught up to me. They would have passed me as I was trying to get back on the track. And anyone else trying to catch up to me, they'll take full advantage of me. And there we go. So at the end of the race, without the 15-second mistake, this run would have been a 28 minutes and 20 second run. So slightly faster than the one stop, but it's not easy to pull off, and you have to be ultra careful with how you're treating the car and the tires, because one little mistake will ruin your race. But to wrap things up, I'm going to go ahead and show a quick little lap guide that I did with the Supra at Suzuka. And let's go ahead and get started with the lap guide. So this will be especially the case when you're doing your qualifying laps. Bring yourself all the way to the left so you can have a bit more space to build up a bit more speed. But stay on the left side of the track. You're going to want to brake before you pass the path that is on the left before the 50-meter board. you're going to do lots of trail braking, lots of braking control, trying to keep the ability to turn as you're slowing down, trying to maintain all of your momentum as well. And as the curb on the right is about to end, that's when you want to start to get on the throttle. For the S's, you want to do little bits of braking control and throttle control, as the Supra GT500 is actually a bit of an understeery car. Especially for this turn right here, you want to hold on the brakes for a bit longer, stay on the right, and you want to do a little lift off of the throttle to set yourself up to get a fast exit out of the turn. Bring yourself towards the left, look for the 50-meter board, quick burst of braking before you pass it. Don't clip the inside too much as the curb is really tall. Stay on the left, brake before the curb on the left ends, and you actually want to coast through the turn for a short moment so the car can turn in a bit more and then get on the throttle. Bring yourself towards the right side of the track, brake as the curb on the right ends, and as you go through the hairpin, you want to go down to first gear to help the car turn in a bit more, but exit on second or even third gear. You also want to be careful on the throttle so you don't end up spinning out. Stay on the right side of the track. You're going to look for a path that is on the right, well before the 50-meter board, as you want to brake just before you pass the path. So 100% braking power for a short moment. Slowly ease off of the brakes as you're turning in. Before the curb on the right ends, you want to do a little bit more braking control, so actually a bit of trail braking. Bring yourself as close as you can to the left. When the curb on the left ends, that's when you want to get on the throttle. Now, you eventually want to make your way towards the right side of the track. You're going to look for the 50-meter board, as all you want to do is lift off of the throttle. So, 50-meter board, start to turn in, lift off of the throttle. Get on the throttle as soon as you can without touching the green stuff on the right. Brake before the 100-meter board, so around the 125-meter point. Brake as much as you can in a straight line. Ease off of the brakes as you're turning in. You want to get the car straightened up as soon as you can at the exit of the turn so you can get on the throttle. And as you finish your lap, bring yourself all the way to the right side of the track, and that is all for the lap guide. Thank you guys for the support. Thank you to Playseat for supporting the channel as well. This is Mr. MCA wishing you good luck, and I'll see you in the next video.